But it's just the way it is. I mean, as I already stated, these are the people who are products of these Ivy League degree meals. They attend them, get some soft degrees in nothing, and then they pretend that they somehow are geopolitical thinkers, or they know what the war is. They are not. They are utterly incompetent, including most of the US military, and especially its generals. And as a result, they suddenly, the main pillar on which dollar was based, this mythology. If you might remember Mr. Ledin, former aide to National Security Advisor, neocon's neocon. He issued the Ledin Doctrine, in the 1990s, end of 1990s, that he said, you know what, once every 10 years, we have to grab one, crappy country and, throw it against the wall to demonstrate that we mean business. Well, yeah, it's crappy countries. If he thinks that he can do, yeah, I mean, we know where it all goes. It's obviously was working on the, this almost hysterical pitch, I don't know, ejaculation of the emotions, after the Gulf War 1.0, where they beat the, semi-literate, unorganized, and backward armed by Saddam, and it was presented as an unheard of achievement. So, and that's what happens. Now they see the serious business, and Pentagon and US military is not ready. It actually never has been, theoretically speaking. So, and as per European NATO, that's why they are shaking and quaking in their boots, because they are afraid that the United States will quit. I don't think so the United States will quit, but it's definitely in the idea behind Trump's administration, geopolitics, if you wish, to kind of reduce their burden, so to speak.
Yeah, so Keir Starmer is talking about sending troops from England. And are there any young Ukrainian men left, or have they all been sent into the meat grinder?
We have now confirmation. It's all documented. They are catching now 14-year-olds. Forget about 18-year-olds. There are units right now consisting of women only, and now they are throwing into the meat grinder people such as the radar operators and radar technicians, which are extremely important for the operation. So yeah, and yeah, they are beginning to use the last of the sperm bank of the Ukrainian nation. And once that is done, because Russians will kill them all, there you go. Then that's the reality. That's the bottom line. They do not want to talk about it, but when I say that the governments in London and especially media are war criminals, I mean it. I mean, that's what they do. They commit the crime against humanity, and as their adventurism in Kursk demonstrated, you have to dissolve all the, basically U.S. military academies and London, Sandhurst, and all that, because they are professionally incompetent people. Plus, they are obviously very, war criminals. You throw 70,000 people, and they are all killed. So basically, they lost a combined arms army, very strong combined armed army in Kursk alone. Do you know the size of the Kursk area where it all happened? It was from the start, it was 159 square miles. To understand what it is, it's less than half of the city of New York with boroughs, area-wise. So they killed 70,000 there. Rather, Russians killed them, but they fed all that cannon fodder there. So, and thousands of vehicles. If you look at videos, take a look at videos from there, it is just absolute. I mean, it littered with bodies, burned equipment. It's just a massacre. So, and they thought they are great military planners. They're not.
Where do you find videos like that?
Oh, Telegram channels all over the place. I do go to my blog. I put out some of them. You look at Suja today, it's just littered with all this, British, German, American equipment. You go to, any kind of road there. There are columns of the burned Ukrainian equipment, including all those, tanks, Bradleys, what have you, Humvees. In terms of bodies, everywhere. Piles of bodies, and especially in those forest areas. So there you go.
It's so sad, all these people dying so these war criminals can do things like, Burisma, the Biden crime family, BlackRock, all these vested interests that are in there. It's disgusting. So if all of the soldiers are nearly gone, wouldn't the right thing to stop the war be to stop arms and stop intelligence? But Trump resumed arms and intelligence. Doesn't that just keep it going?
Well, evidently the latest news from Rzeszów, Polish city near border, which was the main distribution hub for American military aid, it's being evidently disassembled right now as we speak. I don't have 100% confirmation of it, but looks like they are removing all kinds of channels there. And yeah, they still provide obviously 24/7 the ISR, intelligence, surveillance, and recon, but it doesn't matter. And Russians are not going to do any ceasefire until everything is demolished. And Russians are damn serious, And this is the problem with those so-called scholars. They are morons, which would you expect from Council on Foreign Relations, and all those, Chatham House, those MI6 analysts, the guys who are amateurs, basically. They know how to do the false flag. They don't know what real war is. And so Russians will finish it off. And then, Putin started to drop more and more this term Novorossiya, Novorussia. And I even made a video about it, specifically dedicated to it, what Novorossiya is. When Mr. Trump stated, oh, we want those, rare earth metals and, the resources to develop, and Putin stated, sure, let's do the joint ventures in Novorossiya with Russia. And Novorossiya, what is Novorossiya? It's all left bank of Dnieper, and of course, it's Nikolaev and Odessa. So, yeah, well, let's leave it at that, because obviously the rest of it will be pure speculation on my part. But we pretty much know where it all goes. And Russians already cleared 99% of the Kursk pocket, the wedge, and they are already in Sumy Oblast, actually, operations of Russian army, not just DRGs, diversion recon groups, but Russian, regular formations are already in Sumy region. So I don't know. I'm not general staff. They're not telling me their plans, and rightly so.
I heard one estimate that Russia has 75 trillion in natural resources. Do you think that's accurate?
I think so. It's more than that, but yeah, it's just. And again, depending on how you put the number, Russia sits on about 1/3 of all natural resources of the world. That is why it's such a desirable piece of land for Europeans for so many centuries. And that's why they constantly try to, genocide Russians. And but the issue here is that it's a monetary expression of this does not even begin to describe actually the reality of what is in there. We know that, especially in the Arctic, which is being developed as we speak and very, actively. There are some incredible, riches there. And then, of course, the what many people do not understand. Russia also sits on the rare earth metals, but before it was very expensive to develop. Now the technologies are there, they're Russian technologies. And so in this case, Russia does not need continue to buy Chinese rare earth until it develops, until it begins to fully develop those, the resources. And it's everything in there. Anything, gas, oil, uranium, things of this nature. It's just a matter of how much investment you want to put in and develop it.
So would you say that Project Ukraine is a stepping stone to destabilize Russia by the globalists to try and get those assets, those resources?
Oh, absolutely. Absolutely. Plus, do not forget, those elites, they are really kindergarten in many respects. They have their ambitions and egos larger than cathedrals for some reason. Somebody tells them constantly in Oxford, some political science BS, department that, oh, you're good, you are from, aristocratic family. They are, in reality, many of them are inbred imbeciles. And and when you look at that, yeah, they know nothing about the world outside. For example, if you look attentively at the Council for Foreign Relations or American military, as represented by all kinds of the generals and combat veterans, most of them, they're ignoramuses. They don't understand basic things about how the world works, what drives the world. And of course, yeah, it was always this hatred of Russian, visceral hatred of Russians that Mr. Lavrov today, just a few hours ago, stated. Europe and Nazis are inseparable. Europe supports Nazis. It's a ram against Russians. Not only they want to destroy Russia, they want partition it to be, have access to the resources. And if Russians die as nation, don't forget, for average guy from Oxford, I am a Slav, or from any guy from Harvard, I am a subhuman. I am Untermensch. Because this is, for example, if you remember Mr. Clapper's famous quip about Russians, that they're genetically driven to lie and cheat and all that. Obviously, there was no reaction from Anglo-Saxon press. And yeah, that's how they think. That's their, modus operandi. This is their view. This is the view, for example, most people in London, and including your British media. Same goes for people from New York Times. Same goes from people from State Department and things like that. And as a result, thinking like this, they basically sentence their civilization to what we observe now.
So Helen is asking, when will the Russian sanctions be lifted? And didn't Putin do a speech saying
they will not be lifted? Mr. Putin, a week ago, speaking, and I quote, speaking to the Russian Union of the Industrialists and Entrepreneurs. You can look it up. It's on YouTube and elsewhere. He stated, "Prepare to live under sanctions forever." Simple as that. I quoted him. So that's no, sanctions will not be lifted.
And haven't the sanctions just strengthened Russia's economy's independence and reliance on the West?
Yeah, well, absolutely. Absolutely. It's just that, obviously, as I already stated, there are prostitutes and media whores in the West. They simply do not report what is happening in Russia. Because, obviously, can you imagine that? Yeah, you have those. It's a long story. They said a delusional group of people, quite extensive, obviously, with all those soft degrees in nothing, who still believe that they run the world, they run the universe. Well, in reality, they are being sidelined, and as a result, they are not situationally aware. We have the proof in the pudding. Those guys in 2022, they thought that they could, inflict military defeat on Russia. Russian people will rise up, and remove Putin's regime. And so they're delusional. So that's what it is. As I already stated, I am on record. Pretty much all history, political science, pseudoscience departments, on all those sociology departments, and all those elite education facilities in like Harvard or Oxford, they should be simply dissolved because they commit academic fraud. They always did.
Yeah, the prostitutes here are always just saying that Ukraine's winning and showing videos of things getting blown up that are Russian. One thing they did show recently was some oil infrastructure at the weekend. Was that a real story, or was that a puff piece saying the Russians got hit with the oil?
They attacked KTK, which is the pipeline, and all of its oil belongs to Chevron and and Mobile. And, sure, Russia says, you know what, you're killing not us, you're killing their oil. The same as they blew up their, what is called their pipe measuring complex at the real border, for the gas pipeline to Europe. Okay, Russia says, sure, it's your gas, it's your oil. Sorry, guys, force majeure, bye-bye, and that's what is. Listen, it's a kindergarten. Okay, it's a childish behavior of immature crybabies and children throwing tantrum. as I already, for example, if you are in the same room with the BBC or Times reporter, make sure you have a good course of antibiotics after that to take, okay? These are not normal people. Their whole system was preparing political elites who are freaks, and as the result, we can see what is happening, UK, France, on the verge of, I don't think so France is going to last beyond the 2050, 2050. And so as the unified nation and as a nation at all, so, yeah.
Well, that is very interesting. Let me just ask the viewers, put one in the chat. If wherever you are in the world, the news reported the oil got hit in Russia and Russia was taking huge hits. Put a 2 in the chat if the news reported this was Chevron, this was Mobil's infrastructure, and Chevron and Mobil were taking the hit, because we are being lied to so badly. And Germany is taking a massive hit because of the gas on the economy.
Germany is done. Germany is done. The Morgenthau plan was finally initiated and put in action by German elites, no less. So there you go. Well, obviously, Biden administration blew up the Nord Stream 2, but Germans, that's who they are. So, and yeah, they are gone. They will not recover from that.
All right. So Tammy wants to know, how fast are Oreshniks?
On their entrance point, so to speak, when they are completely about to hit the ground, Mach 10 plus, I'm pretty sure at the maneuvering stage, probably more than that, probably significantly more than that.
Uber wants to know, do you think Zelensky and the US can be friends again after this?
Whatever, I don't know. So Trump, knowing Trump, who knows? He might call Zelensky his, son at some point of time. You cannot predict this bipolar Western politics at all. Just so. I don't think so, but yeah, who knows?
He's either going to get unalived, or Zelensky, or he's going to be looking for a country like the Shah of Iran on the run, looking for a country to take him. All right, so Lynn wants to know, if Ukraine has an election, will Zelensky stand in the election?
As Mr. Stalin correctly stated, it's not who voted, it's who counted the votes which matters, okay? So, and in this case, look at United States. United States elected in 2020 the guy who was essentially mentally dead. So who knows?
I like that quote. So Agent Orange wants to know, is Ukraine hiring mercenaries? And what do they pay the mercenaries to fight?
They pay something, I understand. Most of it, they end up dead or run away if they can before being shot by their Ukrainian friends. So the rest of them, like American, British, Swedish, and Polish mercenaries, they're not really mercenaries, actually. They are cadre officers and NCOs who have been officially retired, quote unquote, from the armed forces, became civilians, quote unquote, and enrolled into those programs. But in reality, they are cadre people, and the only reason it's done is to cover up the tracks that, for example, as we all know, United States, Great Britain, Europeans, they support their so-called military advisors. So guess who mans all those air defense complexes and things like that? Of course, those are cadre officers and personnel. So,
all right, viewers, we've got 15 minutes left with Andrei. We've been covering Russia, Ukraine. You can check out his YouTube channel. You can check out his blog. Links are in the description on replay. Links are in the live chat. So in this last 15 minutes, if you've got any questions about any geopolitics, I know Yemen, the Houthi, Iran, we've got all that on our minds. So Diane wants to know, how long does Zelensky have left fronting the puppet show?
I don't know. Whenever these guys, you have to understand, he cannot stay alive. because eventually Russians will get to him. There are many Ukrainians who would like to get to him to start with. And the West cannot keep this bird alive, because once he is in Russian custody, so to speak, he will be singing. And believe me, he will be singing. And so much dirty laundry will be exposed that obviously he will be off at some point of time. I don't think so even the cosmetic surgery will do in this case. So because he will be found out, especially with the modern means of Russian intelligence and signal intelligence, all kinds of things, So so he probably will be off at some point of time. Nobody will allow him to use his stolen millions, if not billions, of the Western money and live peacefully somewhere. I don't think so.
When you say singing, then, do you mean he'll be talking about like the conspiracy, the oligarchs, the intelligence agencies, the CIA, the Bidens, that kind of thing?
Yeah, absolutely. Biden's, Bojo, MI6, CIA. Come on. I mean, he is controlled by those people. Russians know what they need to know about Nazis. There is no surprises there. But they would love to put this jerk in the front of the jury on the International Tribunal for the war crimes and crimes against humanity by NATO, not just by Kiev regime. And guess what? He will be a stellar, his testimony will be stellar addition to basically what Russians already know, as already stated. Mr. Lavrov, people sometimes do not understand significance. They cannot grasp it. It's like when you tell them, they killed 70,000 people. Russians killed 70,000 people in this area of 159 square miles. And people still do not understand what it is. They're like thousands, 337 main battle tanks, 1,000 this Humvees and Bradleys, all that. And people still have this instrument, so to speak, to grasp what we're talking about. 70,000 killed KIAs. They don't understand that we are talking about around, probably by the time it will be done, 1.5 million dead, killed on the Ukrainian side. Many people have no capability to grasp those numbers, So, and what can I say? Those numbers are very interesting, and that tribunal, oh my gosh, that is very important,
So let's say the war ends for Ukraine, Russia, and that neocon plan to get the resources through that path ends. Isn't war with Iran another path to destabilize Russia by the neocons to compensate?
Yeah, I know what you're talking about. Yeah, it's no, they will try to hit at Iran because they just hate Iran to start with, So for them, it's a kind of, almost organic, natural thing. And it's Israel, it's neocons, neocon mafia in DC. But it's not only about Russia, it's about Iran itself. And again, keep in mind, they can only hit. They do not have guts enough to put any kind of the ground troops on the ground, because the war with Iran on the ground is nothing like what they encountered before. Albeit the main idea behind all that's the only thing they think they know how to do, is to change regime. To do something to the leadership of Iran, their spiritual leader, and those other core of the guards of the Islamic Revolution and things of this nature. And they say, oh, okay, you see, and here you have the very pro-Western, very liberal Tehran, and so they come in, and then the new regime is in there. They think that's how they think. So, and will they start? Nothing could be excluded from this point of view. But I don't think so. They will necessarily make Russian life that much difficult if it, God forbid, of course, comes to this. So, but yeah, Russia probably will support Iran.
So people are upset because Trump said he was the peace president, and now he's bombing Yemen.
He never was.
He never was. Do you think he has power over the decisions of which countries they're going to bomb, or does that come from above him? He doesn't have control, really.
I mean, he is not moron, obviously, but he is a huge narcissist. His ego. And people who are around him, many of those people, and especially those warmongers, as usual, he chose Muslim warmongers with a couple, with the exception of a couple of really good appointments like Tulsi Gabbard and Ganesh Patel. You know what? It's easy to manipulate with those people. It really easy. It really is easy. So you just play around their egos and they will go, like where you want them to go. And Trump is exactly like this. And again, make no mistake, he is real estate, well, shyster, New York real estate shyster. He knows only how to hustle, how to do the deals, and in that world, it's not how it works in the international arena, and especially when he doesn't, as he admitted himself, I quote, Putin has all cards in his hands, so yeah, United States doesn't have any. So he has to kind of maneuver right now. Again, he is not stupid, okay? He is definitely much more alert and much more capable than Biden was. But also keep in mind, he is also not a young fellow. His cognitive functions also may, kind of have a hit, which is absolutely natural. It's not his fault, and so it's a complex dynamics there. So it's difficult to say what is going on around him. But for now, he knows that he has to somehow succeed. But Russians are going to be giving him small bone after small bone if need be. And they will continue to do what they're doing.
So there's all these speeches of Tulsi 4 or 5 years ago talking about bombing Yemen was wrong and it's evil and it's one of the poorest countries in the world. And now she's for bombing Yemen. Do these people just say one thing and then they get in power and they do the complete opposite?
They have to, yeah, absolutely. Especially considering that United States foreign policy is practically from Tel Aviv, So and again, United States, pardon my French, is the Israel slap beach. Okay, you have the whole Congress, which is completely in the pockets of the Israeli lobby. You have the APAC, which is of course American Israeli Political Action Public Affairs Committee. So yeah, they're all utterly corrupted. They're all cowards, all means of cowards there. So and they do what this Christian Zionists and this cabal of the nut jobs tells them to do. And yeah, you want to get the appointment. And actually, I think that it's still positive that Tulsi got where she got, because at least Trump now gets the real numbers and real intelligence on what is going on around him, unlike it was the case with the Biden. And but yeah, in order to be there where she is, she has to kick Israeli ass. That's what it is. That's what United States has become, slap beach of Tel Aviv. That's for the last 30 years, it's completely have been turned into this, and nothing could be done about it. At least by people who we have now. Maybe the new generation of people will emerge, but we'll see.
So you're saying the tail is wagging the dog, but isn't the tail a construct of the West, a military outpost in the Middle East? Isn't it got a geopolitical significance that they have to keep backing it?
I don't know. Difficult to say. I mean, again, I'm not specialist in the area. I know which powers, including Great Britain, of course, have been involved into all this from the get-go. But as already stated on a number of occasions, American elites, including the intel military elites, have been degrading themselves and embarrassing themselves for so long now that at this point of time, you ask yourself a question: who are in this upper echelon? Practically all of them are on their, either payroll or blackmailed by Israel or Israeli lobby in the United States. So, which is of course based primarily on this Protestant Christian Zionist cult, a death cult, essentially. But many people believe this garbage, especially baby boomers. Yeah, this is the most despicable generation. That's where they draw their strengths from, and it will continue for a while. Again, there are no courageous people who can make it to the upper echelons of power, say it has to stop. they will be sabotaged. Oh, as many people begin to believe in that JFK was actually, shot with the participation of Israel. So who knows?
All right, we've got 5 minutes left with Andrei. Get your final questions in, folks, and please subscribe to his channel, read his blog. Links are in the chat. So, Miss Fiji, what are your thoughts on the international law of the blockade of the Red Sea that was imposed by Yemen?
Well, realistically, it is, of course, it doesn't correspond with international law. It is unlawful operation by them, but it's war, So, and what can I say? I mean, they decided to do it. What can you do? You have to convince them to stop doing this. How you convince them? Well, there's a lot of things attached, there. But the United States decided that it can do and unblock it. Evidently, it didn't. And it was dramatically unsuccessful, this prosperity guardian thing. It was a complete failure, almost because most of the shipping companies today, they do not go through, Red Sea.
You're getting asked if you think America is at risk of civil war?
Difficult to say, because obviously the fanatics who constitute the main brown shirts of the Democratic National Committee, they are fanatics for a reason. Fanatics usually cannot hold on to power. They will destroy, well, I'm quoting almost famous Soviet movie, but they will destroy themselves. And the conservative America, in many respects, if you remove also this, Christian Zionist element, it's much better armed, if you